Mr. Gatto moves the call. File item 18, AB 1883 Cooley. Clerk will read on reconsideration.
Assembly Bill 1883 by Assemblymember Cooley, enacting this child sexual abuse, making appropriation therefore.
What is it? Is there any objection to granting Mr. Cooley reconsideration? Hearing none, reconsideration is granted. On the bill, the clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1883 by Assemblymember Cooley, enacting the child sexual abuse, making appropriation therefore.
Mr. Cooley, you are recognized.
Colleagues, in view of the hour, I intend to be brief. I shared yesterday how 24 years ago, this House sent to the governor a funding proposal to put money in all 58 counties to let the counties tackle and invent, frankly, how to grapple with child abuse prevention. That was a very innovative plan at the time. It released great energy all over our state. It has led to great breakthroughs in how we deal with child abuse in California to this day. This bill follows that pattern. It is a 3-county pilot tackling not child abuse per se, but the more pernicious child sexual abuse. We know that this sort of conduct casts a long shadow over the lives of the individuals caught up in it, and this allows us to start pathfinding new ways to deal with this horrific crime. I request your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no discussion on this item, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 59, no 0. The measure passes. File item 20, AB 1588 Mathis on the reconsideration. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1588 by Assemblymember Mathis and others, enacting into water, declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Is there any objection to reconsideration? Seeing and hearing none, reconsideration is granted. On the bill, the clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1588 by Assemblymember Mathis and others, enacting into water, declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Mr. Mathis, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. Again, AB 1588 has been a work in progress over the last year, working with the governor's office, with the Horseshoe, working with different members, different committee. And at the end of the day, what 1588 truly does is it provides water to those people who have been without water, some going up to 5 years now. And it's about making sure that those citizens, those people in our communities that are struggling, get access to safe drinking water and have the ability to get tied in or get their wells fixed. And I ask for your support and for your vote. And I remind you that this is an urgency, that the sooner we get this passed, the sooner this gets to the governor's desk, the sooner it gets signed, the sooner people have water. Thank you.
Mr. Alejo, you are recognized.
Madam Speaker, very briefly, I want to rise in bipartisan support of this measure that I've worked with my colleague from Tulare County since last year. Last year during the drought and the previous years, we've been talking about disadvantaged communities who have faced the brunt of the drought, not having running water going through people's homes, no water to take a shower, to cook food, to flush a toilet. Californians deserve better than that. And most of those were veterans and low-income Californians, many who are Latino, in places like East Porterville. This is a fund that has been in the works for 2-3 years now, but it would give grants and loans to the lowest income communities across the state of California to not only have access to safe drinking water, but also better connect their wastewater systems as well. I respectfully ask for your aye vote on this important measure.
Seeing no further discussion on this item, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 64, no 0 on the urgencies. Ayes 64, no 0 on the measure. The measure passes. Moving to file item 42, AB 1952, Gordon. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1952 by Assemblymember Gordon, an act relating to taxation, making appropriation therefore.
Mr. Gordon, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. AB 1952 makes adjustments to the existing property tax postponement program. This program provides loans to qualified low-income seniors and disabled Californians to help them pay their property taxes. Under the existing program, the amount of money available varies each year depending on the number of program applicants and the loan repayments. This means that a successful rollout of the program might oversubscribe the balance of the fund. AB 1952 will address this concern by allowing the Department of Finance to augment the program's budget to authorize additional funding as needed. They can only do this, however, with notice to the Joint Legislative Budget Committee. This bill also makes technical adjustments to the code that are necessary for program implementation. The bill has received no votes and has no opposition, and I respectfully ask for an aye vote on this bipartisan bill.
Mr. Patterson, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, members. I just rise to say ditto. As a principal co, I also want to thank on this floor my friend from San Mateo for the originating underlying bill to all of this. And frankly, because of his help and a lot of members on this floor, we're going to see to it that these seniors don't get their homes sold out from underneath them. And I appreciate it very, very much and ask everybody to vote up on this as a really very good thing. And it does facilitate the underlying bill we all voted on. And I appreciate it and I'm grateful. Thank you.
Seeing and hearing no further discussion on this item, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Aye 66, no 0. The measure passes. Okay. Moving now to file item 43, AB 2017, McCarty. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2017 by Assemblymember McCarty and others, an act relating to mental health, making appropriation therefore.
Mr. McCarty, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As we know, we have a mental health crisis in our state. One element that's often neglected are our college campuses. In fact, students drop out. When they drop out of college, depression is one of the top reasons they drop out. Suicide is the second leading cause of death among college students. So I have before us today the College Mental Health Services Trust Act, which would amend Prop 63, create a grant program where colleges from the UC, CSU, and CSU system could get a one-for-one match to employ more mental health professionals on college campuses. Ask for your aye vote.
Seeing no discussion on this item, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Aye 62, no 0. The measure passes. Members, we are prepared to lift the call on file item 55, ACA 11, Gatto. The clerk will post. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 56, no 7. The measure passes. Moving now to file item 45, AB 2223, Gray. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2223 by Assemblymember Gray, an act relating to dairy methane reduction, making appropriation therefore.
Mr. Gray, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, AB 2223 appropriates $10 million to the Department of Food and Ag to incentivize the adoption of dairy digesters and other methane reduction technologies. This is a great bill, members, and I would respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing no discussion on this item, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 62, no 0. The measure passes. Moving now to file item 47, AB 2270, Bonta. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2270 by Assemblymember Bonta and others enacting the state government making appropriation therefore.
Mr. Bonta, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. AB 2270 will help small, disadvantaged women, minority, and disabled veteran-owned businesses stay competitive in today's rapidly changing economy. It will do this by establishing a statewide bonding assistance program that will provide assistance to small disadvantaged businesses seeking to compete for public works contracts. This bill is based on policies that have worked already in localities throughout the state, like in San Francisco and as well as in other states. So it's evidence-based and will help strengthen our economy and provide opportunity that currently doesn't exist. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing no discussion on this item, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 64, no 0. The measure passes. Moving now to file item 50, AB 2334, Mullen. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2334 by Assemblymember Mullen and others enacting relating to alternative energy to take effect immediately tax levy.
Mr. Mullen, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, the California Alternative Energy and Advanced Transportation Financing Authority, or CATFA, administers a sales and use tax exclusion on property purchased as part of a qualifying alternative energy, advanced transportation, or advanced manufacturing project. This sales and use tax exclusion is currently promoting and creating California-based manufacturing and jobs, part of the innovation economy that makes California an economic powerhouse. At the same time, it is also helping to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, pollution, and energy consumption. CATFA uses a thorough analysis to determine both the environmental and economic benefits of a project before allocating funds, ensuring that these projects will indeed bring jobs and clean tech to California. The bill allows for a rollover of any funds not previously granted or used to be used in future years and includes a provision to streamline the process for subcontractors to benefit from the awarded funds. This change is much needed as the program is currently oversubscribed. I ask for an aye vote.
Seeing no debate on this item, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 65, no 0. The measure passes. Moving to file item 51, AB 2440, Gatto. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2440 by Assemblymember Gatto enacting public safety making appropriation therefore.
Mr. Gatto, you are recognized.
So Mondays are very hard for families of crime victims who are waiting for justice. See, on Friday, the Attorney General gathers all the DNA samples from crime scenes around the state, and they upload them to the database. And on the weekends, those samples are processed. And on Monday is the day where the families get the call. And they let you know that there's been a match to solve your family's murder. Or you don't get the call. And a lot of Mondays go by for a lot of families where they don't get a call. This bill would appropriate money to help solve the backlog of unsolved murders and unsolved rapes in the state. These are the crimes that are more likely to be solved with DNA evidence. There have been advances in DNA technology that make it where evidence that is just a few microns in size can be processed, can go through the system, and can be solved, but there's no funding for it. So all the people out there with physical evidence, which is usually murders and rapes, all these families, all these victims go without justice. This bill is a good step toward funding our local agencies so they can solve these crimes and so that families can get that call on a Monday. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing no discussion on this item, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 68, no 0. The measure passes.
Do that right now.
Just without reference to file, AB 2153, Garcia. The clerk will read. Committee report. Committee report is at the desk, and the clerk will deem read. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2153 by Assembly Member Christina Garcia and others, enacting hazardous waste, making appropriation therefore, declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Ms. Garcia, you are recognized.
Thank you. Members and Speaker, I rise to present AB 2153. Today we have the rare opportunity to make history and create the single largest funding mechanism for environmental justice communities to deal with our industrial policies and our legacy of man-made disasters that are coming to light now. This legislation is unprecedented in its policy and the diverse coalition supporting it. This bill has support from industry, labor, environmental groups, and consumer groups. AB 2153 will reallocate a fee already imposed on all car batteries to fund cleanup and contamination caused by lead-acid batteries throughout the state. At the point of sale, $1 from the consumer deposit will go to the cleanup fund. Manufacturers will also pay $1 fee on all batteries sold in the state. This bill also corrects the consumer problem by creating a more streamlined process for retailers to take back all used car batteries, ensuring that consumers receive credit for their deposit. The amendments taken earlier today remove all the opposition. The new language reflects extensive negotiations between all stakeholders. This bill will raise between $30 to $70 million a year to fund cleanup for any sites in California affected by lead-acid batteries. As many of you know, XED continues to plague my backyard. The remnants of lead contamination continue to be a problem. I'm thankful that the governor appropriated $176 million, and many of you voted in support of that. But the reality is that only covers a third of the cleanup funding that we need. This bill creates a funding mechanism so we don't have to use general funds in the future to clean up the lead. In addition, this bill will help us clean up 16 other sites across the state. We have a closed-down plan, Kramer H. Company. We have Bergmelz Corp., California Byproducts, California Smelting and Refining Company, Electric Babbitt Metals, Federated Metals Division. The list continues. These are found throughout the state. We have them in San Francisco. We have them in LA. We have them in Orange County. They're across the state right now. This bill is not perfect. We have some work to do in the Senate, but I've committed to work with all the stakeholders to make sure that at the end of the day, we have a mechanism that will work for everybody. This bill merits the work to continue in the Senate. We always talk about disadvantaged communities. We talk about having two Californias. This bill is a unique opportunity to tell these communities that have been living with this lead contamination for decades that they are important and that we will correct that problem. We will no longer let them live in that contamination. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Mr. Alejo, you are recognized.
Madam Speaker, as chair of the Assembly ESTM Committee, we heard this bill, and I want to commend my colleague from Los Angeles who has worked hard, who has got industry to remove its opposition, and in fact, some who have come on in support of this bill. But this is truly to address the issue she spoke about, trying to help some of these disadvantaged communities with needed cleanup and having those resources to do it expeditiously and effectively. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Mr. Allen, you are recognized.
I just find it interesting that the author of this bill recently, about an hour or two ago, pushed a tax relief bill, and it said on countless occasions that lowering the tax burden on consumers is a good thing, but then in the very same session is asking for a tax increase. This bill adds a $3 tax on a battery for every car, boat, RV, generator lights, and a ton of other everyday items used by average Californians. California has the highest taxes in the entire country. This is yet another one. I urge no vote.
Mr. Speaker, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I want to thank the author for bringing this bill forward by adding a small fee to the purchase price of replacement lead-acid battery. AB 2153 would help fund cleanup contamination caused by the production, recycling, or improper disposal of lead-acid batteries. We passed AB 118 to generate loans so DTSC can speed up testing and cleanup, and we're going to go after Exide to make sure they pay those funds back. If for whatever reason they don't, AB 2153 provides an appropriate funding source to make sure these cleanup efforts can continue. I ask for your aye vote on AB 2153.
Mr. Santiago, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. quite frankly, this is a bill that's necessary. Had we had something like this in place, we wouldn't have come to everybody in this room and asked them for their support on the excise bill. Now, look, we've got a real good opportunity when a hazard like what happened in my community related to battery lead acid happens again. We now have a mechanism in place. And I talked about it that particular day, that there was no alternative but to come to this House and ask for an appropriations and a loan. Now, members, we have an opportunity here to do what's right and set a fee that's already there, but to reallocate it for what we intended to do in my bill, which is to clean up sites when hazardous sites become that way. So, members, I ask you for an aye vote.
Seeing no further discussion or debate on this item, Ms. Garcia, would you like to close?
Yes, I want to correct a statement by my colleague from Orange County. We have an existing core battery fee right now. When you go buy a battery, they charge you anywhere between $15 to $18 on average. Some places as much as $50 on average for this fee. We're not adding to that fee. It's going to continue to exist. We're streamlining the process so you actually get your money back in a much easier way. Right now, you have to return 5 years later to the same retailer with your receipt. Good luck getting your money back. Most of us maybe get a gift card for $5 in that process. You are going to be taking one of those dollars towards cleanup. The manufacturers have asked to give $1 towards cleanup also in this process, which will create between $30 to $70 million for cleanup. We have two options actually. You could pass this bill and create this unprecedented mechanism to fund the cleanup, not just of Exide, but of the other 16 sites, or you could continue to put your head under the sand and allow these communities to live in this contamination for more decades to come. Exide has been 30 years. These plants are closed. These companies are out of business. These communities don't have money to go after them. And so we could continue to ignore it and eventually come back to the legislature and ask us to use general fund dollars that could be going elsewhere to do this cleanup. This is sensible. This is smart. It's time we tell these communities they matter, and it's time we think about it in a different way. Industries behind this, retail groups are behind this, consumer groups, labor, environmentalists. It's a rare moment we have all these groups together saying this is the right thing to do. I think it's time we make history, and I think we tell these communities there's only one California here, and we all matter. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
The clerk will open a roll. All those vote who desire to vote. 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 Ms. Garcia moves the call. Mr. Calderon, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I request unanimous consent to suspend Assembly Rule 69 and allow Assemblymember Mullen to take up late amendments to file item 22, AB 2502.
Without objection. We will now move to that item, file item 22, AB 2502. Mullen, clerk will read with amendments.
Assembly Bill 2502 with amendments by Assemblymember Mullen.
Mr. Mullen, you are recognized for your amendments.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I'm taking up 2502 for the purpose of amendment. We have been working closely with housing developers and other opponents all year long on this measure. This is my second set of amendments which clarify at the request of the opponents that this bill only applies to the development of rental housing. These amendments have officially removed the opposition of the Building Industry Association. Look forward to our continued conversations with the opponents on the bill. I ask for an aye vote on the amendments.
Seeing no discussion on this item without objection, we can take a voice vote on the amendments. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The amendments are adopted, and the bill will be sent out to print and placed back on file. Moving to file item 53, AB 2581 Medina. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2581 by Assemblymember Medina and others, enacting into higher education, making appropriation therefore, declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Mr. Medina, you are recognized.
Madam Speaker and members, today we have an opportunity to help thousands of California students harmed by the closure of Corinthian campuses. AB 2581 provides grants to community-based organizations to help students complete the federal loan forgiveness and state tuition recovery process. This outreach and assistance is necessary because only a fraction of the estimated 350,000 eligible students in California have applied for relief. The bill restores the year of Cal Grant eligibility for students impacted by the closure of Heald colleges. The goal is to make these students financially and educationally whole. Students have been waiting for relief since the school's closure, which occurred last year, and they need our help now. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Ms. Baker, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I rise regrettably to oppose this bill, having worked closely with the chair of higher education and cooperatively to try to help these students. But what this bill does is it gives millions of dollars to lawyers to do work that they can do and will do, and there's plenty of them to do it, pro bono. And we are taking funds that are intended to help these students and paying lawyers who will do the work for free. And yes, they will. In preparation for this bill last year, which was vetoed by the governor because it pays lawyers to do work for free, I contacted law firms, I contacted legal aid societies, and they said, we have lawyers who are willing to do this work now. They're trained to do this work. They want to help to do this work for students. We just need the referrals to come our way. And in the hearings in the Higher Education Committee, when I heard this bill, the students who came and testified passionately and movingly on how much they benefited from getting help didn't say that their main problem was they didn't have a lawyer to get the help. It's that they didn't even know the program for helping them existed. The reason they don't know is because the Attorney General is not doing her job. She has the funds, she has the website, she has the ability and the authorization to be getting the word out to students. That's what we need to be doing. We save these monies from going to lawyers instead and give them to students, save it for the fund that helps students, and make sure that redirecting our energies to getting the information out to the very students we're trying to help. I applaud my colleague for working so hard again and again to help the students of Corinthians. It's just this time we have got to stop paying money for something that people are willing to do well, for free, and instead help the students in the way they really need, which is to connect them with the program. They don't need the lawyer for that. I respectfully urge a no vote. Let's work on this again. Let's get it right, and that way hopefully the governor will sign it.
Ms. Brown, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to support this bill, and I rise to support this bill because in my district we were particularly hard hit by the closing of the Corinthian colleges. It's a good bill, and I applaud my colleague from Riverside. I am there, and I hope everyone else will join you in supporting this very important legislation.
Seeing no further discussion or debate. Who? Mr. Medina, you may close.
We've heard from students up and down the state how difficult the process is. They have been very harshly affected. Their lives have been disrupted. Their educational dreams have been dashed. And we've heard from attorneys how difficult it is. We have in the bill a nonprofit legal aid capped at $100 per student. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
The clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. 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 This item requires 54 votes. All those vote who desire to vote. Mr. Medina, what's your pleasure?
Move the call.